Whenever we see a mismatched competition, whether it's a drastic difference in size or strength, we always consider it a David and Goliath situation. In the same way, whenever we think about or we talk about what true friendship is, Jonathan and David are the example. Welcome to the Word for 2021. Today we're in 1 Samuel chapter 20. Jonathan was the heir apparent to the throne. As Saul's oldest son, he would have been considered next in line to follow his father. However, Jonathan knew that David was anointed by God to be the next king of Israel. And Jonathan, he loved David. He became David's best friend. In verse 17, it says that Jonathan loved David as he loved himself. Jonathan encouraged David to follow God's will, even though it meant that he would forfeit his claim to the throne. It even says in verse 13, Jonathan said to David, "May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father." True friends are rare because it means that they are willing to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of someone else. True friends are a gift from God. True friends, they make us better. In Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17, we read, "As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." True friends, they help us in difficult times. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, beginning in verse 9, we read, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves." In Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, God made it very clear that it is not good for his people to be alone. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, God established the church as a kingdom of priests. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, we are to be a body. We need each other. We work best together. Knowing that, Satan will always try to isolate us. He'll try to make us independent of one another. If he can get us alone, we become an easier target for him. We become more susceptible to temptation and to sin. We're more tempted to quit, to give up, and then to fall. So Satan will always try to divide in order to conquer. Now, there's a problem. People are imperfect. They get discouraged. They get self-absorbed. They can be preoccupied with their own problems and their own needs. It's painful and it's discouraging when friends abandon us, when they walk out, when they act more like an enemy than a friend. Paul knew what this was like. In 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15, he wrote to Timothy and he said, "You know that everyone in the province of Asia has deserted me." Jesus understood how this felt too. When he was arrested in Mark chapter 14, it is said in verse 50, "Then everyone deserted him and fled." Even though people will disappoint us, it's good to know that God never will. In Deuteronomy 31:6 and Hebrews 13:5, we read that God said, "Never will I leave you, nor will I forsake you." In Psalm 27:10, David said of God, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. He will take me up." There are only two people in the Old Testament that are called friends of God. That would be Abraham and Moses. But in the New Testament, in John chapter 15, Jesus said to his disciples that "You are my friends. I no longer call you servants, but friends." He even said, "No greater love has anyone than this, that one lay down his life for his friends." Jesus demonstrated how much he loved us by laying down his life for us. And he now calls us friends. As a disciple, as a follower of Jesus, which means that we are in love with him, that we are obedient to him, that we are totally devoted to him, he calls us now his friends. Therefore, as a friend of God, he wants us to follow his example and be a true friend. Just as one song put it, we need to be the kind of friend that a friend would like to have. Thank you for joining the Word for 2021.